first thing I would want visitors to know about Kiogima, the Great Lakes, in particular northern Michigan, that Anishinaabe people are still here, that we're not extinct. We're not what you think we are in terms of stereotypes and preconceived notions. We are here, we're not extinct, we are in our homelands, we are indigenous, we are going forward, and that we are a nation, we're a sovereign, and that also we're still connected to this land, that we still do things that our ancestors did, but we also do things that modern society does. We drive cars, we live in houses, we wear tennis shoes, we're not stuck in the past, and we're not defined by, the victimization that's happened to Native people. I'm not going to be defined by the bad things that happened in our history. I'm going to be defined by the perseverance and the overcoming of bad things. That's how I want to see the Anishinaabe being thought of, instead of this people in the past defined by victimization. That's not the case. We're moving forward and we're still here in our homelands.
We are still here. And that is the most important thing that I stress when I'm talking to people about the history of the areas. We are still here. We are still dancing. We're still celebrating our culture. We dance at the powwows. We drum at the powwows. We're very involved in the community. I always try to reflect a positive image of Native Americans. I am a college-educated Native American. My children are. We need to set an example for our children and teach pride and the importance of participating in cultural events and learning the true history of the Native Americans in the Straits area.
We want people to know that I want people to know that we are strong partners, strong strategists, that we have for generations provided oral traditions, that we've critically thought about the world around us, what was to come. We've planned not only for the generations ahead of us, but for those behind. We care for those who've passed, and we continue to do so today. We are very well versed in what partnerships look like, having to work together, and knowing that there are limited resources and having to share. So I want people to understand that our home, there's no other place like it, and this is where we've come from, time immemorial. In addition, we are also individuals who know how to strategize and plan for the future and want to engage in that partnership to do so. I do want to also call to mind that when we look at contemporary society, there continues to be a misnomer that Native communities, Native nations have a plethora of finances and resources. The fact of the matter remains that we still contend with the highest rates of missing and murdered Indigenous women, high rates of poverty and suicide. What I also want to call to mind is that through all that, we are resilient people. We've made it through boarding schools, assimilation policies. We've made it through removal of children of smallpox, if you will, germ warfare. And to this day, we continue to strive to be the communities that our ancestors have strategized for us to still be here. So I want people to know that. I want people to know that we're resilient, and that at the end of the day, humor is an important piece of who we are as well. You've got to have humor when you face the onslaught of difficult situations. So if you're kidded around a lot and you have jokes, that's usually a good sign that you're being accepted into the community. So keep that in mind as well.
For us as Anishinaabe people, I think the biggest fallacy for everybody is that so many of us are gone, or that we left our homelands, or that there isn't anybody here. When someone comes and says, so you're an Indian? I said, well, no, I'm not Anishnaabek, but what that means to me is like, we talk about blood memory, and that blood memory is here. That's what brings us here today. That's what sustains us as Anishnaabek people. So many different ways that memory and who we are as Anishinaabe people have been trying to be removed from us. Myself, I survived the Catholic boarding school here. I was there for 8 years. I know a lot of other people in this community have, but like I said, when we talk about that blood memory, you can take away the language, that beautiful language of ours, which we have a big revitalization of right now too. You can take away all of those things, but you can't take away those memories, those things that we hold in our heart. And our prophecies tell us that, our first cleansing came by fire. We know that, the big floods, you had in your Christianity, you had Noah and the ark, and us, we had Nanamuju. There was a big flood, and that was when Turtle Island here was recreated. We have those, they're not so different than what anybody else would have. I don't know where I was going with this now. But I told you I ramble. But anyway, yes, all those things that they tried to take away from us, and I said we're recovering those things. We were fortunate here because we had a group of our elders that moved up north, over into Canada, and lived complete immersion. And now that since that Indian Religious Freedom Act was reestablished in 1978, it gave us the right to openly practice our culture and our spirituality again. I said those things we never gave up, and we've always had them, like I said, but those are all part of that blood memory that we all hold inside. And then when I talk about those prophecies too, this is where I was going with that. When I talk about those prophecies, our prophecies tell us that our next cleansing is coming by fire. And what that means, I said, everybody thinks there's going to be a big fire and everything's going to be wiped out. It's not that at all. It's that spark that we hold here. It's that blood memory that we have within us that makes us Anishinaabe people.
What I want people to know about Anishnaabek is that we are not a black and white photo. We are not stuck in history or time. We're an evolving people. We are modern. We have families just like you. We take our kids to school. We go to work every day. We pay taxes. We're just like the dominant society because that's what we kind of had to do. We had to assimilate to that in order to survive and to stay in our original homeland, so we weren't removed. That I want people to know that to disregard the stereotypes and find out who Native people are for real. I've worked at Petoskey schools as a language teacher, and those stereotypes and that racism is very present and very active. And our youth have to face that. I had to face that as a teacher. And it's these stereotypes that just keep circulating. That we're lazy, we get free money, and I have no idea where these started, and they're very hurtful to our people. But I want people to find out who Native people are themselves. And you will find we have more similarities than differences. We're not, the boogeyman in the woods. We're not killers or anything. We're not these like savages that is portrayed so negatively about us. We're actually just trying to preserve what we have. We're trying to maintain our families and our culture and our language, but at the same time living in modern society and the dominant society. We don't have our language. That's a daily thing, is we're always trying to bring back our language through any kind of revitalization efforts. But at the same time, we have to pay the bills. We have to take care of our families. So we're a very busy people. Around the clock, we're always doing something to preserve, revitalize our own language and culture, and protect our land. But don't listen to the stereotypes, disregard anything negative that you hear. 100% of that is out of ignorance and fear, and I would like you to find out for yourself and talk to a Native person. You can even come to the tribal government as a public building. You can come in and talk to us if you have questions. We have a website. So there's a lot of resources out there that will show you the correct and real image of the kind of people we are. And you're going to find out we're actually just like you, but we have a deep tie to the land. We have a mission to bring back our culture and our language. And we're a harmonious people. We live in peace. But when our voices aren't heard, yes, we do have to protest, and yes, we do have to speak up. We're very resilient people. Protest is a part of who we are as well, too, because we're always fighting for our rights, for equality, not only for our rights as humans, but rights for the animals and the land, because all of that is connected, all of it's related. the water ties everything together, because without the water, we don't have a human race. So we're not just doing it for ourselves, like we're a greedy people. No, we're doing it for the human race. We absolutely need clean water. And without water, our whole system, our whole ecosystem is going to start to fail. Just like the climate, we're seeing problems in the climate right now. So I just want people to know that we're very passionate about our bloodline that ties way back to this land, literally part of this land. And with that becomes our ancestors' legacy. And so we're living that every day, but we're also modern day people as well. So don't listen to the awful stereotypes out there, and find out who we are as a people, and just talk to us. I think there's a lot of fear about us out of ignorance, and if you wanted to come and talk to me, that would be fine. You know, most Native people are very nice, and they're going to accept you, and they're going to be warm, and they're going to answer any questions you have. Anything you've ever wanted to ask a Native person, just come and ask us. But we're a lot alike.
What we do now, we care deeply about a region and its resources in the area. The government has gone and done many things through grants and facilities like our fish hatchery, conservation resource management, conservation enforcement. We want to help make sure that the area is available to future generations. There's a part of the culture that always talks about, thinking 7 generations ahead. We want to be sure that what we have now and what other people see and have the opportunity to enjoy is there for other generations to enjoy too. We care deeply about that.
As the visitors that come through the display in the museum, in those places that are reflected, when they walk to get to that places, they may not know it because there's blacktop and there's cement streets and there's this, but they're walking on history. They're walking on that place that those artifacts were taken from, and they're still there. And I think it's important. What I feel is important is that the artifacts in the history encourage them to learn more about the Anishnaabek.